When it comes to HoYoverse, there's always one role that defines the pace of the meta, no matter the genre that the game is in. This has been shown in Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and now Zenless Zone Zero, but for some reason, everyone doesn't initially pick up on this when these units release. Well, this go around, I want to help you guys get ahead of the curve and prepare for the major shift coming to the game. So, I want to introduce you to the support that's about to change the future of Zenless for the better. Meet our first limited ether support unit, Astra Yao, who's here to soothe your soul and steal your polychromes with her amazing singing, but more importantly, phenomenal supportive capabilities. In this video, I'll be providing you a complete guide on Astra, going over her core game plan, best builds, team comps, and more. To get started, let's talk about her game plan. Like I mentioned earlier, Astra is our new limited ether support unit that has a kit designed around providing universal buffs and a unique character gimmick that can be taken advantage of by every agent in the game, no matter their attribute anomaly. This makes creating teams for Astra extremely easy while also keeping her job super simple. I like to call her a set it and forget it character. This is because Astra supports her team through the idlet cadenza state, which is triggered by using her special attack, chain attack, and ultimate. Once the state is active, Astra increases her squad members' damage by 18% and crit damage by 22%. Now, while in this state, you'll notice that Astra is unable to move, but she is able to use her basic attacks and perform dodges. Those are actions to make sure she's not as vulnerable as she seems, but the real purpose of cadenza state is to grant her team the squad buffs and to activate her unique gimmick using chords. Chords are the star icons that you see under Astra's health bar, and for 25 energy, she gains one chord up to a maximum of 4. When Astra has chords available, she's able to trigger a precise assist, which is a unique quick assist when the controlled character's attack hits an enemy once per 3 seconds, and when the controlled character's heavy attack hits an enemy once per 1 second. Seems pretty easy. Once you quick assist it to a squad member, you'll notice that Astra remains on field with the agent in the cadenza state, but she's now invulnerable. This allows her to maintain the damage and crit damage buff we mentioned earlier, while also providing a new buff through her core passive, Graceful Andante. During the idlet cadenza state, Astra provides an attack buff equal to 35% of her attack up to a maximum of 1,200 to herself and an incoming character when they switch in through a quick assist, chain attack, defensive assist, or evasive assist, and when Astra expends energy to release Tremolio to attack. This is how the set it and forget it concept comes into play, because to start Astra's rotation, you perform her special attack to enter the cadenza state and quick assist into your next agent. And that's literally it. Astra will remain on field providing your team buffs while generating the energy needed for cores to provide the team precise assist. No other actions are needed to use this character effectively until it's time to use her ultimate, Fantasian Sonata, which restores 2,450 HP to Astra's entire squad and replaces the next 2 quick assists with chain attacks. This is by far the strongest support ultimate we have in the game, because not only does she increase her team's survivability with her healing, but she also provides massive damage increases for the DPS on her team by granting them the additional chain attacks. A good thing to keep in mind is that you don't immediately have to trigger those chain attacks one after another like you normally do either, so you can get creative with some new rotations that fully maximizes your DPS output. This is why I say Astra is such an amazing universal support, because her buffs and ability to provide this new quick assist gimmick allows majority of the roster to shine in many different ways. I believe with her utility, we're going to see a resurgence on some weaker units, because she'll be able to bring them up and place them into effective teams that work. Which, speaking of teams, let's talk about her additional ability, Moonlight Frenzy. This ability states that when energy is consumed to trigger a precise assist or basic attack finale, Astra will follow up with 1 Tremolio and 3 Tone Clusters. In order to activate her additional ability, you're going to need an attack or anomaly agent on Astra's team, which means it's super easy to build almost any team comp with her. Now, originally, I didn't think Astra needed this ability to be effective, but I come to realize that it's super important that these additional attacks occur, because a lot of your precise assists will be triggered by the Tremolio and Tone Clusters that hit your enemies. It'll just make team rotations a lot smoother with it activated, which is going to be needed because that's the hard part regarding playing a team with Astra. The character herself is really easy to set up, but learning how to properly run team rotations with her is going to take some time. Players are going to need to be very mindful of how they spend energy when using her teams, not only to make sure you have cores available to precise assist, but to also make sure your DPS always has energy available to complete full rotations multiple times. We'll get more into that once we get into the team section of the video, but for now, that concludes Astra's core game plan. This agent is more so utility than an actual character, because you don't actually play her. This is why I didn't provide any in-depth details on things like her basic attack like I normally do, because they don't really serve a true purpose in her kit. All you need to do is worry about setting up idlet cadenza state and triggering those quick assists like a madman for your team. Now, let's go over Astra's build. When it comes to building Astra, there's only one 4-piece set that you need to farm for, and that's our newest set specifically made for her, Astro Voice. Quick Assist is the name of Astra's game, so there's no better 4-piece set that complements her and the team she's supporting than this unique one named after her. Her core passive also explains that her buff scale off of her attack, so the 2-piece bonus from Astro Voice benefits us a lot here as well. Now there is a small exception for not using this set, and that's if you're running a unit that uses Astro Voice as well. If that's the case, you can run Swing Jazz as an alternative. This isn't as good as Astro Voice for her, but you can make it work. If you have the resources to do so though, I would just change the Astro Voice set on the other unit to give Astra her best set available. When it comes to our 2-piece set though, you have two options here, and the first one is Swing Jazz. This is your best 2-piece set when running Astro Voice because you need to consistently generate energy for her cores to trigger the precise assist for your team, so providing her with energy regen is the best way to go. But if you're rocking the 4-piece Swing Jazz and need help with giving Astra some extra attack, you can run Hormone Punk to provide plus 10% to her attack. Again, Astra's core passive scales off her attack, so this 2-piece bonus will benefit her in the long run. Now let's talk about her main stats. For this 4, you want to run attack percent, which will help you hit that 3400 attack threshold in order to fully take advantage of her attack buff and her core passive. For this 5, you run attack percent as well to again help us hit that attack threshold we need. For this 6, we rock energy regen to ensure she generates enough energy on field to build her cores and supply her team with precise assists. Now if you're able to hit that desired attack threshold for Astra without needing attack percent on one of your drives, you can also go for crit as an alternative on this 4 to increase the little bit of DPS that Astra provides. Hitting that 3400 attack threshold isn't the end all be all for Astra's buff, so don't stress it. I would just get as close to it as you can with the main stats here and prioritize the following substats to make building her a lot easier. Now let's get into her W engines. Astra has a few options at her disposal when it comes to W engines. Of course, her signature is the one that you want to aim for, but she also has other A-ring alternatives that you can use. To start, let's go over her Sig Elegant Vanity. This is your go-to option because of the extra attack that is provided and how easy it is to apply these buffs to your team. This is also possibly one of the best W engines for support units in the game because how universal it is, making it worth pulling even if you don't pull Astra and you have some extra pulls to throw away. Next we have Kaboom the Cannon at R5. This is your next best option as it provides another great universal buff for your team and is really easy to trigger. The downside of this engine though is that it lacks the attack you need for Astra, so if you're using this engine, be sure to rock attack percent on disc 6. Next we have Bashful Demon at R5, another great option that provides both the attack you need and a good universal buff. The only downside to this is that the ice damage buff isn't going to affect Astra, and the amount of attack that this engine provides might not be enough to meet the threshold you need for Astra's buff, so you'll need to get pretty lucky on your attack substats. And lastly we have Unfettered Game Ball at R5. This W engine is really good, but it'll only be effective against enemies that are weak to ether when Astra has it equipped. It also lacks the attack Astra needs like Kaboom, so not only will it only be effective for specific content, you also need to run attack percent on your disc 6. Not a bad option, just only use it if you don't have any of the other options available. Now that's how you build Astra. Pretty straightforward when it comes to building her. She really only cares about her attack stat, making farming good pieces for her pretty easy. The only issue with building Astra is that she's pretty limited when it comes to the sets that she needs, but outside of that she'll more than likely be the easiest unit for players to build, which is great. Now it's time to go over my favorite part with Astra. Let's talk about team comps. Building teams for Astra is extremely easy due to her additional ability, allowing her to pair with attack and anomaly units. This allows her to be very flexible with who you can form teams with and the type of comps you can build. When forming a team for Astra though, you primarily want to make sure the unit you pair with can take full advantage of the buffs she provides and her unique quick assist gimmick. After performing my testing, I found a lot of options that players can look into, but first let's start with the team comp that I know most players will be able to build. Team 1 includes Jian, Astra, and Miyabi, aka Frost Corruption. This is a dual DPS comp that is Miyabi centric, meaning that she's the main DPS you'll be keeping on the team while your second DPS is interchangeable. For this team, Jian was my preferred unit to use because of how seamless rotations between her and Miyabi felt, but you can easily replace her with agents like Yanagi, Bernice, Haramasa, and more. This is because due to Astra primarily being played off field, both DPS have plenty of time to take advantage of their full rotations without feeling like they're fighting for field time. This is especially true with burst style DPS, which is why I love the pairing between miHoYo and Jué. miHoYo is here to build her Fallen Frost stacks with her EX special and ultimate while inflicting Frostburn to prevent targets from moving. Jué then quick swaps in to trigger Shatter by unleashing her enhanced shot shells, followed by dumping her EX special and ultimate for massive ether damage and the ability to reload. Both of these units will essentially be running their normal DPS rotations while being a bit more conservative with energy at times. This will help them maximize DPS in the long run, as they'll be able to provide a substantial amount of damage every time they quick assist on the field. Keep in mind that since Astra and Jué are both ether units, they'll also be able to trigger corruption fairly often, which means you can go for disorders with this team to grant miHoYo her extra Fallen Frost and a 30% ice res debuff to her Shumatsuki stance. This is super important for this team's DPS because the disorder and the damage that miHoYo deals in Shumatsuki is insane. If you want to take advantage of this a bit more, you can sacrifice a bit of Jué's damage by giving her Anomaly Mastery on disc 6, since she'll make up majority of her DPS through Astra's buffs. The content you'll run with this team will primarily have enemies weak to both ice and ether as well, making this team a match made in heaven at endgame. Now Astra's role on this team will be the same on every team. She's here to enter the Idolate Cadenza state to increase her squad's damage and crit damage. She'll also be providing an attack buff equal to 35% of her attack, primarily when her squad members quick assist. We also have our ultimate, which will restore our HP and replace the next two quick assists with chain attacks. The addition of Astra not only provides extra damage for DPS units in general, but she directly buffs Jué as well, because every time she quick assists, she reloads 1 enhanced shot shell, and every time she chain attacks, she reloads 3. This means Astra will be able to provide Jué even more DPS uptime with how often she'll be allowing her to reload her shots. This is a pretty straightforward team with a lot of flexibility for units to be interchangeable with, so honestly pair miHoYo with whoever you like. You just need to be used to the quick swap playstyle, which is a lot of fun but can be a bit challenging when first starting. If you guys need some alternative teams for dual DPS comp, here are some great teams that you can work with as well. Now again, the idea of most of these teams is to be miHoYo centric because she plays the anomaly role super effectively, and I know most of you guys pulled her within 1.4, but that doesn't mean you have to run her. As you can see, there's some great teams that don't include her as well, and the game plan pretty much stays the same. Run your DPS rotations, but be sure to focus on anomaly buildup. I know some of these teams include attackers, so you'll run into a lot less disorder triggers, but the DPS should still be really strong for these teams. Enough of the dual DPS comps though, let's take it back to old reliable. For team 2, we have Haramasa, Astra, and Qingyi, aka Static Sickness. For my Haramasa mains, this is the team for you. It follows our traditional team structure of stunner support DPS, providing a hyper carry playstyle, which most of you should be familiar with. This is because currently one of the best teams for Haramasa includes Nicole and Qingyi. Nicole's job on this team is to provide a 40% defense reduction debuff and amazing grouping with her ether grenade, which is great for Haramasa when trying to deal damage to multiple enemies at once. But unlike his burst DPS counterpart Jué, he isn't able to take advantage of Nicole's 25% ether damage buff tied to her additional ability, causing him to miss out on some extra DPS. Well, with Astra, this no longer is an issue because she provides universal buffs that Haramasa can take advantage of to increase his overall DPS output. This will cause him to lose out on the grouping that Nicole provides, but I believe Astra's unique quick assist gimmick and her ability to provide extra chain attacks through her ultimate makes up for that, helping Haru out in the long run because he'll be able to set up more quivers for himself. Qingyi's job on this team is to build massive amounts of days to quickly trigger stun while providing a 230% stun damage multiplier during stun windows. This massively increases Haramasa DPS and even stacks up with the 40% damage buff he provides himself when an enemy is stunned. Qingyi also builds Electric Anomaly for the team, helping generate extra quivers on field when shock is applied, and because I rock a 4-piece Thunder Metal with Haru on this team, he also gets a 28% attack buff while these enemies are shocked. This is a straightforward and simple team composition to understand, just like any other hyper carry team. Where the difficulty comes into play is piloting Haramasa, but I'm sure most of you can get the hang of it. If you're looking for some alternatives though, you can run Jué, Astra, and Qingyi for a similar game plan, just an easier DPS to pilot. Or you can completely change the team up and go for Soldier 11 Astra Lighter, Ellen Astra Lycan, and any team that follows the traditional hyper carry team structure. This comp is really easy to build and works with a lot of different units, so definitely give it a try. When it comes to building teams for Astra, the zone is zenless. You see what I did there? She has so many teams at her disposal because she can honestly make anyone work. This is why many believe she is such a valuable unit to have, because all of the buffs she provides can benefit every DPS in the game. She immediately provides value to units while introducing a very unique way to play Zenless, and I love it so much. Just keep in mind that when it comes to building teams with her, don't be so close-minded. Try lots of combinations and see what works, which I plan to do more in future videos, so stay tuned. To end this video though, let's go ahead and get into the whale talk by going over her Mindscapes. For her Mindscape 1, it seems pretty good as it provides a 6% all attribute res debuff that stacks up to 3 times. She gains 1000 decibels whenever she enters battle, and they gave her ultimate a new buff that provides her team invulnerability for 1 second if they get hit. Her M2 buffs the attack buff she provides through her core passive by 19% with an increased maximum of 400, and she's now able to perform her additional ability in her cadenza state. The increase to her attack buff seems great, but overall investing into her M2 doesn't seem worth it. Now her M4 is when it gets crazy because she's able to trigger quick assist without energy after she performs a chain attack or ultimate. Her quick assist in the cadenza state also gives a unique buff to attack, anomaly, and stun units, taking her supportive capabilities to another level. This is definitely an insane Mindscape to have, but it requires you to invest so much into her. Finally, M6 buffs the damage multiplier for her tremolo and tone clusters by 200% and the crit rate by 80%. It also gives her a new follow-up after a precise assist with her basic attack 3 with an 80% increase to her crit rate. This Mindscape just basically makes her off-field DPS a lot stronger, which is nice and definitely will come in handy if you get her M6, because some of the other Mindscapes paired with this will actually make her off-field DPS a problem. And that's everything regarding Astra. She is definitely one of, if not the best support in the game, and she will be a valuable asset to anyone's account. She provides a lot of team flexibility and a new way to play Zenless that I think most players will enjoy, but it doesn't mean you need her. I don't believe any character in this game is a must pull, but I do understand characters have different values. The value of Astra is pretty much unmatched, or at least on par with a unit like Caesar, so if you need a support unit for your account, definitely pull her. But that's going to be everything for this video. I appreciate you guys and all your love and support. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, and always remember to believe in you that believes in yourself. I'll see you guys in the next one.